A hearing was held today in the ongoing Alex Murdaugh saga. A judge hearing arguments from lawyers in 3 lawsuits who want the court to have independent representatives take control of his money and other assets. One attorney said that they fear that Murdaugh is trying to hide millions of dollars and potentially sell off property after he turned all of his affairs over to his surviving son. An attorney for both Alex Murdaugh and his son say there's no legal basis here to prevent the family from handling their own money. The judge is expected to rule sometime next week.
Alex Murdaugh and his family have a connection to 5 tragic deaths. One of them is Mallory Beach, who died in a boating accident. Tomorrow night, Nikki Batiste with 48 Hours will take a closer look at her death. Here's a preview of that story.
911, where's your emergency?
We're in a boat crash on Arthur Creek.
On February 24th, 2019, 6 young friends were out partying on the Beaufort River on a boat owned by the Murdaugh family when they crashed. On board was Alex Murdaugh's 19-year-old son, Paul. Anthony Cook was there with his 19-year-old girlfriend, Mallory Beach. Mallory's aunt, Lynn Revis.
The last thing she told me was she loved me.
Just hours before the crash, surveillance cameras captured Paul Murdaugh using his brother's ID to buy beer. Later, Paul and a friend were seen drinking at a bar on the river. About an hour later, the boat slammed into a bridge piling. That's when Mallory disappeared. Then Beaufort County Deputy Sheriff Stephen Domino was one of the first on the scene. Anthony Cook told him he saw Paul Murdaugh driving the boat just before the crash.
Y'all know Alex Murdaugh?
Oh yeah, I know his name.
That's his son. Good luck.
We didn't think he was going to be charged.
Nearly 2 months after the boat crash, Paul was charged with causing the death of Mallory Beach. He pleaded not guilty. But the case will never go to trial. On June 7th, 2021, Alex Murdaugh called police and said he'd found Paul and his wife Maggie shot dead on one of their properties.
Maggie and Paul, please hurry.
Our Julia Kaufman had a chance to speak with reporter Nikki Batiste about her Murdaugh investigation. Here's a closer look.
Nikki, with all the tragedies surrounding the Murdaughs, what made you focus on Mallory's death and the boat crash?
The main reason we focused on it for this preview is that we have an exclusive interview with Mallory Beach's aunt and also with one of the first responders on the scene of the boat crash. And there are 5 deaths surrounding the Murdaugh names. There are 6 different investigations surrounding the Murdaugh name. There's a double homicide, the fatal boat crash, a suicide scheme, the death of another teenager a few years ago, the death of the Murdaugh family housekeeper also a few years ago, and then missing money from Alex Murdaugh's own law firm. We touch on all of those different investigations in our 48 hours, but we did focus on Mallory because we have some exclusive interviews and a lot of different audio and visual recordings from witnesses that night. Julia?
Wow. Do investigators think there's a link between the boat crash and then the later on murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh?
Investigators are staying very tight-lipped about any suspects or motive for the double murders. Alex Murdaugh's own attorneys have said that he is a person of interest in those double murders. I've spoken with a lot of people down there in South Carolina. Among locals, there is speculation that the double murders may have been some sort of revenge for the boat crash, particularly how the investigation was handled in the crash. Julia?
Nikki, what does Mallory's family think happened the night that she died?
According to the civil lawsuit that the Beach family filed and in my conversations with them, they believe Paul Murdaugh was drunk, belligerent, out of control that night and crashed the boat. Several other teenagers on the boat in their witness testimony did also say that Paul was driving, and the Beach family has lost their lovely, vivacious daughter. It's a terrible tragedy. Julia?
Of course, and we know that a lot has happened since that night. So what's next for Alex Murdaugh?
It's a big question. Right now, Alex Murdaugh is sitting in jail without bond. A judge has ordered that he undergo a psychiatric evaluation before his next hearing. But like I mentioned, he's got 5 deaths and 6 investigations all swirling around his name. There's a lot yet to unfold in this story. Julia?
All right, Nikki, thank you so much for your time, and we're really looking forward to the first 48 hours.
You can watch 48 Hours, The Murdaugh Mysteries tomorrow night at 10 right here on WLTX.